Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Rev. William J. Plank, and I am a Jesuit monk under the rule of the Pope. He is my boss, and Jesus is our King. You have all... There's been a post in Facebook in my secret church about cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody and every doctor has a different level of diagnosis and understanding of cancer. I, in my deepest understanding of what I am in the service of God, is an exorcist. That is what I specialize in. I am an expert in my field. I have studied under Father Gabriel and a few other world-renowned experts. I have studied their material. I went to college at Baltimore, Maryland Bible Institute under Dr. Carl Stevenson and took 1 year of full exorcist training, Greek and Hebrew theology. I only went that long because I had studied so many manuals before. There really wasn't anything new to learn. I had studied for years. Exorcism is the highest level of martial arts, and you that know me know that I love the martial arts, and I fully studied it from heaven to hell. So, cancer is what they call demonites de annoio stigmata. It is demonic oppression from the devil. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. It is a truth. And most of you on this planet are not old enough in your understanding of spirituality to understand fusion. If you check the records, Max Planck, my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, is the father of fusion. And I can go very deep in fusion understanding. Now, cancer is when you have stepped out of the Ten Commandments, because there is a spiritual force field that guards you called the Spirit of Grace, called the Armor of Light. It's written in the Word of God. And if you step too far out of the commandments of God and sin against God too long, Luke 6:38 says, what you measure out, it shall be measured back. If you break away from the Ten Commandments and you go forth and you're living like the devil and you sin for too long, you put yourself in spiritual debt with God and subject yourself to the powers of the devil. In Deuteronomy chapter 28:15 through 63, it will show you the levels of curses that will come upon your life, and they're all very real. But demonites de annoio stigmata is when demons from the underworld are given the legal right to attack your vessel. Your vessel is a biogenetic spacesuit that is filled with anatomic energy, which is light, which is fire, which is God. God is fire. John 1:12, I give you the power to become the sons of God. Between every single anatomic element of my flesh is light holding it together, the Spirit of God. This is what they call a biogenetic spacesuit. It's part mortal and part immortal, which means the first dimension is passing through the second dimension and holding everything in the third from the third dimension. Okay, when there's a breach, the demons are in the second dimension. When there's a breach, because you're sinning against the law of the universal laws of power, then the second dimension, like cracking a hole through a glass jar, is allowed to start pouring in. And the demon that you're dealing with, because there's 72 lords in heaven and 72 lords in hell under Jesus. These are the kings. Heaven, Lucifer built his hell rulership just like heaven's, because he knew it well. The 72 lords of hell, the demon that is given the power and authority to inflict or heal mortality, his name is Marabus. His name is Marabus. You cannot cast out a demon, you cannot war a demon, and you cannot make him stop afflicting you unless you, one, know him by name. The records of these demons, these kings, are hidden in the key of Solomon, the lower key of Solomon, which is called Gosha. It's an ancient scroll that was found during the time of King Solomon. King Solomon stood before God, and besides Jesus, Solomon was the wisest priest who ever ruled, and he could only rule the world because he was allowed to have enough power to see Lucifer and only the 72 lords that rule over all the demons that fell. So he met each demon king of hell, and they were mandated to give them their name, their greatest strength, and their greatest weakness, and he kept a record of it. And that's how come he could rule the whole earth during his reign of Solomon. So, now you know. You have to take sacrament. Sacrament is the only thing that can destroy spiritual power. Then you have to anoint yourself with holy oil if you're dealing with cancer, and then you have to pray against Marvelous. You have to maintain the Ten Commandments strongly and read the Word of God twice a day. Joshua 1:8. Joshua 1:8 says, "You will meditate on my word night and day." In order to meditate on it, you got to know it. In order to know it, you got to study it. 2 Timothy 2:15 says, "Study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman need not be afraid, but rightly divide the word of truth." This is the true and deepest teachings known to mankind, known to the realm. Now, when you're dealing with cancer, you're in debt, and the demons are allowed to attack. You have to get right with God. Go do good deeds. Share the gospel. Talk to someone. Or study the Word of God. As you study the Word, it's considered labor. 1 Corinthians 9:11 says, "What you sow in the Spirit, you will reap in the flesh." As you continue to study the Word of God, you're measuring labor. New York State laws, labor, that's labor for the Masons. That's Mason labor. Has nothing to do. Before God, God witnesses your labor, and He'll honor your labor as long as it's good. And the devil will honor it if it is evil. But true labor for Christ is sharing the gospel. Mark 16, verse 15. Go forth and proclaim the gospel to all creation. And to study the Word of God. It is spiritual labor. And as you do this, God starts to you reap the benefits of it in your flesh. I look a lot younger than a lot of people my age I graduated with because I have sustaining force. I eat the Word of God, I study the Word of God, and I teach the Word of God, and for that reward, God gives me supernatural health. Yes, I will live longer than most of them. It's a fact. God slows down the aging process for us that study His Word and obey it correctly and strictly. Look at Charles Stanley. Charles Stanley can preach the gospel like a champion, but he has serious grace. And he does honor the Pope. Charles teaches at the lower caliber, but he knows the high caliber also. Most of you are in a banished state under Luther's curse, and our job is to bring you back to the higher state of the Catholic Bible and obeying the Catholic Bible and walking with the canon and honoring the Pope. All you that are in agreement with Luther, you're going to go to the lake of fire. And this is what the battle is. This is why I am a Jesuit monk, and this is why I have stepped out of the shadows of the mountain and the caves of the monasteries and have stepped in here to Facebook to try to save as many of you as I can. Because you were taught by a heretic who was destroyed by fire, who was a warlock, a male witch, to defy the high elders and the Pope. This is forbidden. Even the whole Mormon church in the Book of Mormon comes out of Germany. Germany founded the Word of God upon the papistry. And Joseph Smith was a German boy, and so wasn't the heretic warlock Martin Luther. all of these beings are coming from the High Elder race, which I am German, Austrian, and I am High Elder race. I have a responsibility and a duty to teach all other races on earth the higher light and to bring you to the higher might before I die and leave the earth. But I don't think death's big enough to take me. So, that's just where I stand. Christ warned you and said a time would come when men won't even see death. And I believe I have the ability to whoop death. I'm sorry, I just do. I don't think death's tough at all. Thank you.